Welcome to YORI 240. This is a bonus lesson. So we've already finished the first 9 lessons, which is the core of the Languages of Love curriculum, with all of the extra bonuses that we have tucked in there, all of the extra lessons we have tucked in there, all of the extra tools. So if you start with Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages, that is a solid foundation. That is a solid beginning. And we covered enough in the program so that even if you haven't read the books, you have a lot of powerful, useful material in there, but without being too redundant to the books. So if you read any or even all of Gary Chapman's Love Languages books, you'll find that this program wasn't just a repeat of his books or a mini seminar on the 5 love languages. This is a bonus lesson. This means we're going kind of beyond what we've talked about. We've touched on some of the concepts and the ideas that we're discussing in the bonus lesson. It relates to the love languages. It relates to the ways to win with me. It relates to the ways we win with us. And we're going to end with another powerful tool that we can apply. In fact, I'll introduce it right here at the beginning. The ways I win with me. And the ways I win with me that others may join. And so we're going to be getting into the concept of these lists and how we build that so that we can have a powerful, vibrant life on our own. Now, what I mean by a vibrant, deep, rich, fulfilling life on our own, it does include when you're single. It includes when you don't have a serious romance. It includes when you don't have a lot of close friendships. But it also just includes those times, whether you're married, whether you have a serious romance, whether you have family, whether you have friends, that there are those arcs in our life, sometimes hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks or months or even years, where we do a lot of things by ourselves. And it might just be as simple a thing as, okay, well, you know, the family's gone for the weekend, I'm here by myself, now what do I do? And for a lot of people, they just find kind of ways to fill the time. And if all you're dealing with is the occasional periodic arc of time alone, that can work. But if you're going to be single for a while, if you're going to be without your friends for a while, if you're going to be someplace just for weeks or maybe a couple of months, it might be helpful to really work on your self-relationship. Now, that's part of what we're talking about here. Having a healthy self-relationship. Me relating to me. Now, what if we're talking about being in a relationship? This is still critical, because my relationship with me is going to affect all of my other relationships. If I have a healthy relationship with myself, that will help me have a healthier relationship with people outside of me. If I have a healthy relationship with myself, then I can have a healthier relationship with you just by letting my own healthy behaviors that I do with me out to you. It will also help me have a healthier relationship, because if I become accustomed to a healthy relationship with myself, because I say the things to myself that are healthy relationship things to say, I do the things with myself that are healthy relationship things to do, it will help me have a healthier relationship when other people are giving me a healthy love. It will also help me recognize when something is maybe not quite as healthy as it really ought to be. So the importance of a healthy self-love. A healthy self-love for oneself puts you in agreement with those who have a healthy love for you. I'm going to say that one again, because this is kind of important. If I have a healthy self-love for myself, Scott has a healthy love for Scott. That means I am in agreement with the people who love me in a healthy way. Now, let's take a fairly simple, obvious example. My mom and my dad. If my mom loves me with a healthy love, and I love me with a healthy love, then that puts me in agreement with my mother. If my wife loves me with a healthy love, and I love me with a healthy love, that puts me in agreement with my wife. If my kids love me with a healthy love and I love me with a healthy love, that puts me in agreement with my kids. If my friends love me with a healthy love and I love me in a healthy love, that puts me in agreement with my friends. Now, for those of us who may be religious, say we're talking about Christianity, one of the fundamentals of Christianity is God is love, or the most quoted verse, at least that I hear, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that whosoever believes in him might not perish but have everlasting life. Okay, that means if I have a healthy love for myself, I'm agreeing with God. So, this is pretty important. Everyone who has a healthy love for me, I want to be in agreement with them. If you want to get all theological, you go, okay, who loves me? God. Who hates me? The devil. So if I have a healthy love for myself, I'm agreeing with God. If I don't, I'm agreeing with the devil. Probably not the side I want to be agreeing on. I want to be on the heaven side, not the hell side. Just kind of a personal preference of mine. You can decide for yourself. So that's part of the importance of the healthy self-love, being in agreement with the people who love you in the healthiest, best ways. Now, it then becomes easy to accept a healthy love from others because it affirms what I already know about me. It also then allows me to easily and naturally engage in a healthy love relationships with other people because I already have practice accepting a healthy love. And being able to recognize and accept healthy love is a powerful skill. Now, we're going to get into this part being so important in just a little bit. But then here's part of the power for being the one loving. When I get this down, then you just let the way you love you. And let it out to others. Let the way you love you out to others. That you have this 24/7 practice with the person you're with all the time. When I woke up this morning, guess what? I was there. When I go to bed tonight, guess who else is going to be there? Me. Guess who I hang out with all day long? Now, if I'm not getting along with you, well, I can decide I'm really not going to spend much time with you. But if I'm not getting along with me, I'm kind of stuck with me. I can't get a break from me. I'm with myself 24/7. So I really should work on getting along with me. So this is another primary power of healthy self-love, that you have internal practice loving someone in a healthy way. That person you're with, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and an extra day on leap year. If you have practiced loving that person, then when you're loving another person, you just take that practice and you just let it bubble over, and you do it for other people too. That you just learn to love other people the same way you love yourself. But it begins with a healthy love for yourself. A healthy love for yourself. Not this narcissistic thing, but a healthy love. And then you let that healthy love out to the other people in your life. You have practice affirming someone. You have practice seeing the best in someone. Cheering someone up. Comforting someone. Adventuring with someone. And then all you have to do is just let it out. And let other people partake of this way you love in this powerful, healthy way. And then when you can just let it out, that gives you a powerful starting point. Because you have this internalized habit of wanting the best for yourself, and then it's easy to want the best for other people. It's really powerful when I've learned to want to be the best for myself, than to want to be the best for someone else, and to find that relationship that's healthiest all around. I have practiced wanting myself to have transcendent joy, not just momentary pleasure, not even just happiness, although that's very powerful, but this bigger, broader, more principle-anchored, spiritually anchored thing called joy, and I just let that bubble out for other people to get to have some of that too. Because I've been practicing 24/7 with myself, in myself, And I have these habits now that all I have to do is let them out. Being able to love others with a healthy love is a powerful skill. And a powerful place to practice that is me with me. Healthy self-relationships then support healthy relationships, healthy self-relationships. My relationship with me support healthy relationships on the outside. Healthy relationship, whether we're talking about the intimacy of marriage, whether we're talking about the intimacy of family, or whether you're talking slightly more casual relationship with good friend, extended family, or even much more casual relationships in business with coworkers, with clients, with the people who work at the businesses you frequent. That if you have this healthy self-relationship, you can connect to all of these people in a healthy way because you have these healthy relationship habits. So if I am my own good company, and I enjoy my own good company, all I need to do is just let both sides out to others and be good company for other people. Enjoy other people's good company. I open up how I love myself to include how I love others. The 24/7 practice with myself helps me master it. I open up how I accept healthy love to accept love from others. Again, my constant practice helping me master that as well. The better I maintain a healthy internal relationship of me to me, Scott to Scott, the easier it is to do it with others. That which I do with myself on an every time, everyday basis becomes an easy habit to practice with others. Presupposing, obviously, I am doing it in a healthy way. Now let's come back to this concept for a moment. I open up how I love myself to include how I love others. I open up how I accept healthy love to accept love from others. That internal practice just expands beyond me. That I learn to love others as I love myself. I learn to accept the love of others as I learn to accept the love of myself. And understanding how healthy and important this is critical. So for instance, I might end up in a relationship, and we get a lot of talk of abusive relationships with a presumption that it's always the man abusing the woman. But here's a concept I want you to consider. If a behavior would be wrong, male to female, let us presuppose that it is likely equally wrong, female to male. So for instance, if yelling, screaming, cussing, judging, being generally nasty to somebody is wrong when the man's doing it to the woman, it is equally wrong when the woman's doing it to the man. Now, I would like to think that for most people who are here and listening to my programs, watching my videos, that's kind of a self-evident truth. But for a lot of people, it isn't. And for a lot of people, we just sort of expect, well, the man should just handle it for himself. I mean, we have tons of shelters and tons of extra help and support for women who are in that situation, but as a percentage basis, compared to how frequently it happens in one direction or another, precious little help, support, shelters, or places to go, even not full-on shelters, just places to go for help, for men. And so, say, for instance, there's a violent woman in the household, and the father wants to take his children and get them out of harm's way because mom gets really, really violent. Even if she's only really violent when she's drinking or she's really violent when she's on drugs, trying to protect the children, that we really don't have places he can go. But that gets to be a whole side issue as far as how that goes. But let's just be thinking about these kind of abusive relationships. Very often we don't end up in these kind of relationships, doing these kind of relationships, in one giant step. It begins with loving someone in an unhealthy way. In a way that, for our purposes, for YORI, we probably wouldn't call love. where it's no longer about, well, I want the best for you. It's, I want you because you make me feel good. It's not that I want to be the best for you. It's I want to cut out all competition so that I'm the only thing you have left. It's not that I want you to have transcendent joy. It's that I want you to give me pleasure. And that gets to be a very selfish, very unhealthy sort of thing that some people still slap the love label on. But we really wouldn't call that love. That's more being possessive, being territorial. I want you for me, but I don't really care that much about you, really. And if I have practiced this healthy love, and I'm the one beginning to slip into a more abusive direction, I recognize these steps. I go, you know, in the way I love me, the way I practice this healthy love, what I want for myself, and the thing that I'm doing, I wouldn't want that for me. And you can become much more sensitive to that. Much more sensitive to when you may be at variance with healthy versus unhealthy. However, someone who has a very unhealthy internal relationship may not notice. So say, for instance, with me, to me, I make a mistake. I forget something. I was clumsy and I knocked something over and that turned out to be expensive. I lost my focus when I was driving and I pulled into a parking lot and I scraped the side of my car and I go, ugh! I made a mistake. It was so stupid. What the heck is wrong with me? And I just really tear into myself. Well, then if someone else does something and I tear into them, I may not even realize how much I'm doing it. And I may have no idea how bad it is. And even worse, say I do this just horrifically to myself, and I just get riddled with guilt and shame, and I just feel terrible for every tiny little thing. And then I recognize, okay, well, that's way too much. I would never say that out loud. I would never say that to anybody else. If anyone else had, you know, I would be compassionate. I would be sympathetic. I really would. I really, really would. But what we don't realize is we feel all the stuff we're holding back. And we don't realize all the stuff that's getting out. And I might feel like, oh, you know, I handled that so well. I was so good. But what we don't realize is like half of it still got out. And the other person's thinking like, what a jerk. It was a simple accident. And look how completely bent out of shape they got. How nasty and judgmental they were. And they did it with a smile on their face, like they took some glee in it. Well, what's really going on as far as you're feeling is like, you know, I'm keeping this inside. I'm handling this well. Because what I feel is all the stuff I'm holding back. But if I have this healthy self-love practice, then that variance shows up really, really fast. I recognize it when it's happening. And it helps me be much more sensitive to it so that I can be much more loving to people, so that I can have a much healthier relationship with people. And the other side, how do people end up in these abusive relationships? How do they end up staying in them? Not usually in one giant leap at one time. One of the ways people end up in abusive relationships, if I have a very unhealthy internal relationship of me with me, and then you're treating me in a very unhealthy way, I feel like I deserve it. All you're doing is you're giving me what I give myself anyway. And if I have this horrifically unhealthy internal relationship, then what you're giving me might even be nicer than what I give myself. And so then it's easy for someone to stay in an unhealthy relationship. And then also, if I don't have a super healthy relationship with me, all it takes is a couple of small steps. And it may not start off with just full-on abuse. It may just start off with one time someone is kind of more disrespectful than I really should put up with. But I don't recognize it as much because my internal relationship with me is much worse than that. And so even though they're beginning to show the signs that lead to the dissolution of all healthy love in a relationship, that I don't see it. Because what they're saying is still nicer to me than the things I might say to myself. Because the way they're loving me might still be better than the way I love myself. But if I have this healthy internal relationship, when it starts walking down that path, I recognize, whoa, hang on a second. That's not going to be very healthy. And then at some point, though, if you get to the place where you have kind of a moderately healthy, somewhat unhealthy relationship, it's not really bad, but it's not really good either. And you kind of let one step go. And then you kind of let the next step go. And then you kind of let the step after that go. And you're being treated with less respect and less respect and less respect, less love and less love and less love, less cherishing and even less cherishing, and right on down that list. It almost seems silly that, well, I didn't leave over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why would I leave over 8? I mean, I've already accepted all of this. This is just one more thing. And then the next thing happens is, well, I didn't leave over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 level of bad. Why would I leave it over just one step worse? There's only one step worse. And when we start doing that, it's really easy to end up in these horrific relationships. And we get there just one negative step at a time. And very often that negative step begins with that internal relationship. Do I have a healthy relationship with me? If I don't have a healthy relationship with me, the two big things that happen is, number one, I may not even recognize when I'm engaging in an unhealthy relationship with someone else, when I'm treating people in an unhealthy way. If I have an unhealthy internal relationship with me, number two is I may not even recognize when a relationship I'm in is beginning to turn unhealthy. So John Gottman, who is one of the nation's foremost researchers in the objective evaluation of relationships. No woo-woo, no, just sitting in the office. He does studies on stuff and then tracks people long-term. And one of the things that was interesting that he found is he found that he could watch a couple and the way they interact and the subtleties of their vocabulary and body language and tones of voice, and determine with striking accuracy who's going to last 5 years. And here's a simple thing. If they are disrespectful to one another, if the vocabulary that they use, that they choose, is innately judgmental or biting to one another, if they get defensive when they're not under attack, if they attack when there's no reason to attack, and then they get on the other person for being defensive, like they're not under attack, but they are under attack. All of these unhealthy behaviors, they go, okay, if we have unhealthy with unhealthy, as manifested in just the way they interact over any issue, over any problem, and it's either one of them, that they know, okay, that relationship is heading for disaster. And so this whole thing begins with, what's my relationship with me? What's my vocabulary with me? How do I approach me when I have a problem? And then I just let that out to other people. And if I just let that out to other people, how healthy do I want to make sure it is? So I open up how I love myself to include how I love others. My 24/7 practice with myself at a healthy love, helping me master a healthy love. I open up how I accept healthy love to accept love from others. My constant practice of accepting healthy love, of recognizing healthy love when I'm receiving it, helping me master the art of accepting healthy love, which is incidentally a skill. With striking regularity, I will run into people who are in this weird situation where someone's offering them healthy love and they reflexively reject it. And so the ability to graciously accept healthy love is an important skill to have. As simple a thing as graciously accepting a compliment, graciously accepting being affirmed, graciously accepting affection, graciously accepting comfort, graciously accepting an offer of a favor, and learning how to graciously accept when people are behaving in a healthy way, not in a manipulative way, not in a, I do this for you, you do that for me kind of transactional way. But when people are being genuinely healthy about the way they're expressing their love to you, being able to graciously accept these things instead of reflexively rejecting these things. As simple a thing as a compliment being an example. Now, closely related to love is forgiveness. That we want to have a healthy self-love. We also want to have a healthy self-forgiveness. We want to be able to forgive ourselves. So the importance of healthy self-forgiveness, in addition to healthy self-love, another very powerful skill is self-forgiveness. Being able to forgive yourself. Me forgiving me. Scott forgiving Scott for what Scott did wrong. We all have a guaranteed lack of perfection. All of us. None of us will be perfect. All of us are going to make mistakes. All of us will mess up in small ways. All of us. And nearly all of us will mess up in medium ways. Some people manage to get away without messing up in medium ways, mostly by playing life so small. So you're not doing anything or exposed to any opportunity to mess up in even a medium way. But for the most part, people who are living a rich, vibrant life, who are doing things, who are out in the world, who are interacting with people, who are living a life, are going to mess up in medium ways. And from time to time, we'll mess up in larger ways. We'll have the big mess-ups. We'll have the big accidents, the big mistakes, the foot in mouth, those moments where we open mouth, not just insert foot, but jump in with both feet. We'll have those things where we oops something, we forget something, we overlook something, and there's serious consequences to that. Other things where we misunderstood something, and we may have taken the right action based upon what we understood, but we didn't have all the information, or we had the facts, but we misunderstood what they meant, and we blew something in some larger way. And many of us, not all of us, but many of us, will mess up in disastrous ways. We'll mess up our finances in some way that leads us into bankruptcy or loses us our house. We'll mess up in some relational way that ends a relationship, ends a job, loses an important client. And so many of us will have that level of disaster strike, where we have some major misunderstanding that we may not find out until later. One young lady had this major misunderstanding with this gentleman. Now they're together in a serious relationship, but she almost blew it because of a mistake that she made. She had a misunderstanding of fact. Oh, and she was so mad. And then later on she found out, oh, he didn't do what I thought he did. I made a mistake. Uh-oh. That one was totally on me. But she owned up to it. She forgave herself for it. He forgave her for it. And then things suddenly got all cleaned up because there was forgiveness and forgiveness. And they could move forward in the mistake. So many of us will mess up in disastrous ways. Almost all of us will mess up in large ways. And when you get to the medium and small ways, yeah, that's going to be all of us. It's just life. It's just life. And we need to learn to forgive ourselves for those things. Learn from them, move forward, try to not make the same mistake again, be more aware that, yeah, these things do happen, and be understanding of ourselves and others, of course. But it begins with practicing the self-forgiveness thing. Now, here's a key in all of this. That learning to forgive ourselves, learning to forgive others, doesn't just mean we pretend it never happened. Here's a fundamental of forgiveness, is a thing we are forgiving is not okay. Now, we have a cultural habit sometimes like, oh, I'm sorry, which means I did something I think was wrong. And then there's a that's okay, which means, oh, the wrong thing isn't wrong, it's okay to do. Now, that's not usually what we actually mean when we're having that exchange, but that is what we're saying, and it's a condition that we're reinforcing without really realizing we're reinforcing it. A fundamental of forgiveness is if it's not okay, or it has to be not okay for there to be anything to forgive. If what you did is okay, what am I forgiving? That you did what was okay? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So forgiveness begins with, it's not okay. Of course it's not okay. I have nothing to forgive me if I didn't do a not okay thing. I have nothing to forgive you for if you didn't do a not okay thing. So it's not okay. We're not saying it's okay. It did happen. We're not pretending it didn't happen. But it's learned from, and then it's let go. It's learned from, and then let go. It's not okay. It's learned from and let go. Forgiving ourselves includes a few key pieces here. Let's talk about them. One, what we did was wrong. So if I need to forgive me, the first step is, okay, what I did was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Two, I've learned a lesson. What lesson did I learn? And three, I'm ready to be better. So what we did was wrong, we have learned a lesson, and we are ready to be better. If we're there, then we should forgive and move forward from there. The most powerful among the whole collection of techniques to do that with is called 5-step forgiveness. We start off with the small things to practice 5-step forgiveness with the small things, where the 5-step forgiveness is overkill. And we learn the skill, we learn the 5 steps, and we get better at them, and then we do it with progressively bigger things. Faster than we often expect, we gain the ability to exercise self-forgiveness even for the biggest things. But it starts off with, we practice it with the small things. Forgiveness has a lot of aspects to understand, has a lot of depth to explore. Forgiveness and related skills are part of their own programs and books. So I have 2 books on forgiveness. I have another 2 books on forgiveness-related skills. I have 2 programs, one on forgiveness and one on the collateral skills, so that you can kind of forgive as you go, let go as you go. And these are powerful skill sets. And of course, I'm not going to be able to unpack them for you in just a couple of minutes, but here's the important part. You start with the small stuff. I've known some people who have come and said, oh no, I just can't do it, I just get anxiety trying to do it. Like, why? Well, it's because they want to start with the biggest, nastiest, most emotional, intense thing in their life. And why? Well, because that's the thing that's affecting them the most. So that makes total sense. But you learn the skill by practicing on something relatively small. You practice the skill by working on bigger and bigger things. And then you get to that giant thing. And then another approach is, if you can kind of deal a little bit with that giant thing, but you're not ready to just like dive all the way in. Well, just work it from back here. Just take a little slice of it. 5%, 10%, heck, 1%. If you need to do the self-forgiveness technique every day for 100 days, because you're slicing off 1% at a time, guess what happens in 100 days? You're clear of it. Or 100 days from now, you could still be staring at it with anxiety and go, I don't want to. Or you could start off with a small thing. Work up to a medium thing. And in the course of a month or so, then you're dealing with kind of medium-sized, larger things. And then in the 30 to 60 or 90 days, now you're ready to go tackle that big thing. And maybe now that you've got the skill set, you can tackle it 5 or 10% at a time. And guess what happens 10 to 20 days after that? You're clear of it. And as you learn to do that, as you learn to forgive yourself, you let the way you forgive yourself out to others. As you reorganize or recognize your own wrongs and deal with it wisely and well, all you do is let that same behavior out to others. That's all you do. I practice with me. I forgive me. And then I use the I forgive Scott skill set to forgive other people. To let it go. To learn the lessons I need to learn. To walk in the wisdom in which I ought to be walking. And once I have the wisdom from it, I don't need the pain. If I don't harvest the wisdom from it, the pain is there to protect me. It's there to remind me, hey, don't let that happen again. But I have the wisdom, so now I can walk in wisdom and recognize how that works and recognize how to avoid it without having to be emotionally intense about it, just so I can make clear decisions. I don't need the pain anymore. And sometimes people will go through a process where they just release it all. And then the same thing happens again. Why? Because they didn't get the wisdom out of it. And now the heart won't let go because, oh, we let this go before, and when we forgave before, it got bad. It doesn't want to forgive anymore. That's why you have to get the wisdom out of it. And they have to determine exactly what is it that I'm forgiving. What's the actual objective wrong? What's the actual subjective wrong? And then how do I put all of this away so I can move forward? Well, I do all of that for me. Scott does it for Scott. And because I practice it Scott with Scott, now I can do it Scott with you or you or you. Because I have that practice. I just let the way I forgive me out to how I forgive you. Little things, incidental things, things you may not even have done. That's part of the beauty of the subjective forgiveness. Well, I still have to let go of the emotion, but part of the wisdom I may have gained is, I really need to make sure I find out what actually happened before I really get upset. That might be helpful. And so I'm still letting it go. So in that sense, I'm still forgiving you because I was mad at you. But I'm letting it go because, I'm letting that emotion go because you didn't really do what I thought you did. Good for me to know. That all my upsetness was coming from the subjective sense, which turns out may not have been fully based in reality. So you let the way you forgive yourself out to others. The skill of forgiving yourself and moving forward helps you forgive others and move forward. To whatever extent they seem to be learning, you can leave it behind, continue on course. To whatever extent they seem not to be learning, you move forward, taking into account that this behavior should not be unexpected. I'm going to say that part again. To whatever extent they do not seem to be learning, you move forward, still moving forward, but taking into account that this behavior should not be unexpected. Either way, you move forward with the love and forgiveness you practice with yourself, and now you just let it out to others. Now, how do you move forward if someone's behaving badly? Well, there's a whole thing out of the forgiveness lessons that's related to that. But here's a short version. You take into account that this is a reality. You take into account that you should be completely unsurprised if this happens again. And you make your decisions accordingly. But you make your decisions accordingly not based upon the fact, oh, you've done this, you burned me before. But no, I've learned something about you. Now, here's a very simple version. I was just doing this with somebody recently. As simple a thing as forgetting stuff. So suppose the way I've been wronged is someone just forgot something. In fact, I just forgot something recently. There's like a self-forgiveness thing. That there was a giveaway. I actually had the thing on my desk, but as it worked out, I didn't go to my desk all day until after the cutoff time. And so you're like, I didn't go pick up the free gift. This is a local business was doing this really cool giveaway, and it was a great deal. And I had intended to go do it. And then I forgot. Well, what did I get so upset? Oh, it's what is it? Yeah. Well, I would need to let that go. And I need to move forward knowing I forget stuff. So now if something like this gift giveaway really is important, now, okay, well, how would I make sure I don't forget that? Send myself a text, send myself an email, put it in different calendars, send myself a notification. There's all kinds of ways to do that. For me to move forward in my relationship with me, taking into account that I forget stuff like that, where I can get in the habit every time I see something like that, like a giveaway, like a special event, like a special concert, or a special thing down at the Japanese gardens I want to go see, and just put it in the calendar and program in notifications so I don't forget it again. So I don't get to one weekend and go, the Cherry Blossom Festival was last week. I wanted to go to that. Well, okay, I know I forget stuff like that. Put it in the calendar. Send myself notifications. I was teaching a class for a friend to free them up because he had a competition he had to go to. And what I did is I put in my calendar and I set a string of notifications and alarms. One notification to remind me the night before, another notification to remind me half an hour beforehand, because that's when I had to make sure I left to get there. And I set 2 alarms, my wake-up alarm, but also my if you're not already in the car moving alarm, you better get going now alarm. Why? Because this isn't a normal part of my routine. And if it's not a normal part of my routine, I could forget if I just say it. And so that's how I worked that. And how did I get there? I've made the mistakes. I've had to forgive myself. And then move forward knowing I should be unsurprised with this kind of thing. Building on all of this is the importance of living a vivid, joyful life. For most of human history, most of life for most people was about little more than survival. Survival is practically presumed for all of us now. Fulfillment at levels unprecedented in history is available to more people than ever before. The United States of America was even founded on the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Vivid, joy-filled living is available to us, and shared with others or lived alone, living a vivid, joyful life makes life deeply fulfilling. It also creates a life that draws others into the joy and draws others to you, the fulfilled. Because if you are a fulfilled person, people seeking to be fulfilled want to have what you have, however it is you have it. And they become interested in what is this thing that you have going on. And it can be as simple as a healthy self-relationship, a healthy self-love, a healthy self-forgiveness, really getting out there and living life and really enjoying the life that I live. For those who are religious, there's a Bible verse that talks about, be ready to give a defense for the hope that is in you, but with reverence and respect. And basically what it is you have the kind of life that draws people to like, what is this about you? What's different about you? And in a religious context, it's supposed to be how you live out your religion. And so for those of us who have a spirituality, regardless of what it is, how are you living that out? And whether you have a spirituality or not, how are you living out your self-love? How are you living out your self-forgiveness? How are you living out your depth and your richness and the vibrancy of your life? So vivid, joyful, and fulfilling. That's what you're after. But vivid, joyful, and fulfilling is also very individual. Again and again, we talk about how individual people are. That's part of why the YORI relationship matrix has so many dimensions, because of how individual we are. It allows us 100 clean starting points and clear definitions and ways to explore those definitions. We're all multifaceted, and as we combine facets, we see that every human being is unique. Then we seek to combine uniques together. And that creates a new unique thing, a relationship. Every relationship is unique because a particular pairing of one unique person to another unique person is making something novel. As you live your own individual, vivid, joyful, fulfilling life, you get to immerse yourself in your own joys. It helps you define and understand the things that make your life deeper, that make your life richer and more vivid. It then gives you clear points to invite others to join you in your fulfilling joy. Now think about this for a little bit. I am a unique human being. I've had a number of relationships. I have a number of relationships right now at various levels of intimacy, family, and friends, and it's kind of a sliding scale of how I'm close to someone in kind of one area of life, but not as close in another area, but I'm close to someone else in this area of life. And that's just kind of, the vibrancy of life. And every relationship is unique, because while I'm the same person, if the other person's different, well, now we're putting two things together that this combination's never happened before. And then even at the totality of all that I am, and if you dive into the whole YORI relationship matrix, if you just done the 101 and you just heard a whole bunch of the dimensions, there's a lot of different facets to this. And which facets are relevant to which relationships will vary. So if someone's just kind of a passing acquaintance, that they're the clerk at a store that I see all the time and we just have a pleasant exchange, and that's a whole relationship, is pleasant exchanges, doing transactions, not a lot of facets of who I am is going to be relevant to that relationship. There's a couple of sweet older ladies that work at a local thrift shop. I'll pop in every once in a while to kind of see what's going on. If either one of them are there, we have a very pleasant chat. But that's my whole relationship with them. They're clerks at the thrift shop. And because the thrift shop has kind of a small personnel list, I tend to see the same people all the time. And that's the whole relationship. So not a lot of facets of who I am are going to be relevant to that relationship. But for like a close, intimate friend, for a romance, a whole bunch more facets of who I am become relevant to that relationship. You have unfolding more and more as the relationship moves forward. And so we're building this unique thing that is always shifting, always evolving, sometimes in tiny little ways, sometimes in big ways, as like a whole new aspect of the relationship shows up. And into all of that is crafting the kind of depth and vibrancy that others can join you for. And this is probably what I call make room for others to join you. Make room for others to join you. The things we do to live a personally fulfilling life that we will and must do alone are perfectly okay and can support a vivid, joyful, single life. Now this can be something like, if one of the things I really enjoy doing is I like to sit by myself in the corner of the couch reading a good book. Well, it might be difficult to invite someone else to join me sitting in the corner of my couch reading a good book. Now, could someone join me sitting in the other corner of the couch reading their own good book? Yeah. So there might be ways others could kind of do the same thing alongside. But just to understand, there are some things that you might have that are kind of private things, that these are things you prefer to do alone. You might like to sit on the porch while it's raining, on the porch swing, and you're sipping a drink and snacking on some warm little snack that you made for yourself, reading your book and enjoying the scene, and you really prefer to be by yourself when you do that. That's totally good. That helps be joyful and fulfilling. If we are open to and hoping for or actively seeking a relationship, we should also make room for other people. So if everything I do is this kind of private thing, if everything I do is a kind of like, I really prefer to do this alone kind of thing, it might be reading, it might be writing, just all these things that others can't really come alongside for, that they can't join me for, then I'm kind of crafting a life that kind of locks people out. But if I'm open to having a relationship, then I need to have an opening for that relationship to come in. If I'm hoping for a relationship, I need to have space for that relationship. And if I'm seeking a relationship, I need to have kind of a strategy of where am I going to the thing that I'm going to be drawing in into my life, or kind of expanding my life around the other thing. So whether you're open to, hoping for, or seeking a relationship, we need to make room. It can be a space for an occasional companion. That might be what you're looking for in a relationship. You just want an occasional companion, just kind of a friend you can hang out with every once in a while. Or space for frequent friends. Someone you can get together with, like with a group of friends every month. I was just chatting with someone who, they have kind of this monthly game night that they get together for, and they just do it once a month, and every month somebody picks a different game, and that's kind of a monthly frequent friends thing, and they just do it informally as friends. And then there's people who would do things in a more formal basis, kind of, but still looking for that kind of frequency of connection. It can be a particular romance, trying to create space for a particular romance. Whatever we might consider, we should create that space so that others may be invited into our joy. So we have a place in our lives that other people can easily slip into. And thus we can live life vividly alone, with others, or in an intimate relationship, and we always have the same joys to savor. A dual point, then, is to live a vivid, joyful, fulfilling life that can include others, and to be ready to expand into other areas when you have the relationships for those things. So if you're looking for a relationship, hoping for a relationship, or you're just open to a relationship, have room for that. Create opportunity for that. At whatever level you're looking for. I mean, sometimes we automatically think, oh, I need a boyfriend, I need a girlfriend, I need a husband, I need a wife. And that's sometimes automatically what some people think for. So, I need this great intimate romance. Well, that may not be it at all. I mean, you just may want a friend to hang out with every once in a while. You might, like, one of the things you enjoy doing is like binging certain Netflix shows, but what you really kind of like is someone else who's a fan with the show, so that you can, oh my gosh, did you see that? Oh wow, that, and just to enjoy it with somebody else. We're seeing that like with online gaming somewhere. You can talk to the people that you're playing with, and this kind of creates a social setting where I can even be sitting in my room at my house on my computer screen or on my television, and someone else is sitting in their room in their house on their TV or computer, but we can still be playing the same game and chatting with each other as we go. And so we kind of create the social thing, where we can have this interaction and this banter and this playfulness and this shared experience in a meaningfully interactive way. And it can be as simple as that, where you're not even just looking for necessarily a particular relationship, just company, someone to talk to, someone to enjoy the thing with. And that can be plenty. And sometimes you can even do that just by going to the thing and just strike up a conversation with somebody you run into. If you ever want to see that done as an art form, just go someplace and watch my mom. I was at Walmart one time, and she's standing in line to return something, and I ran off into the store to go grab the thing, because we had a short list, and she needed to return a thing, and so we did this connected to having lunch together. And I come back, and she's in this conversation with someone. And if you walk up to the conversation, it sounds like, oh yeah, they're like old friends who ran into it. No, they just met each other. But both of them were like that, and so they just chatted, struck up this conversation, chatting up a storm. It's a spectator sport sometimes. I just stand back and I watch and I just marvel at how much fun she and the people that she ends up talking with are having just in this conversation. And then they'll finish their business and they'll each head off on their, they'll never see each other again. But they had this moment. They had this, it might have been just 3 or 4 minutes, it might have been 10 or 15 minutes. And that's a whole relationship, beginning, middle, and end. But they had a great time. And it can be as simple as that. Where you're not even looking to build a particular thing. You're just looking to have some engagement with some people. And so as part of all of this, we've talked about the ways to win with me list. Well, here's another list for you. Ways I win with me. Ways I win with me. In YORI 240, we spoke frequently of the list, ways to win with me, and ways we win with us. So also well worth considering is a ways I win with me list. These are things I can do for myself, by myself, It may even include things I might do for others in a way that I enjoy doing for others, in a way that I find fulfilling. As with other lists, look to create a list of around 20 things. For those not accustomed to seeking to have their own hearts filled, it can be oddly difficult. There are some people who do so much in service to others, so much in response to the needs of others, and we say, okay, well, but what do you want? Now, I admit that, there's been times where I've had seasons of life where I've been so busy doing things with and for other people, and someone says, well, like, what do you want to do for Christmas? Because they said, we want to have like an experience, because they know that I like experiences. And so we'd like to do, and I thought, I don't know. Why? Because I'm kind of caught up in this rolling thing of I'm always doing, and with and for other people that I kind of stopped. I haven't thought about that for like months. So, let me sit down and work that out. Well, if I had this running ways I win with me list, that makes it a lot easier. That even allows them to do some stuff by surprise. But if I have a literal written list and say I'm married and I have kids and Father's Day is coming up or my birthday is coming up, okay, let's go do something. Like, let's take a look at this list. Like, okay, what can we do? Oh, how about we'll do a day that includes this one and then that one down there, and we can kind of do a version of this one here. That would be great. And they don't even have to like consult and say, well, what would you like and where would you like to go? Because there's a list. And that would make it so much easier for them, and then they can relax, and I can relax, and great stuff will show up every once in a while. And then that can be part of like, more of the ways to win with me list, but ways I win with me list, and becomes the same kind of thing that I can just go do for myself. Now, it may seem strange that for some people, ways I win with me list, it's like, okay, well, I like it when other people do it for me. But, okay, well, what do I do when it's just me? When I'm just me doing stuff with me? What do I like to do with just me? And for some people, they really don't know. They really don't. So, part of this list, things I do for myself, by myself. It can include things you just want to try. Maybe you've never done it before. You just want to give it a shot. You may not even know if you're going to enjoy it. You just want to try it because it's new and you've never done it before. Because you just want an adventure. And then if you do like it, it can go on the list on the more consistent thing. And if you don't like it, it's like, well, it was fun to try. Maybe something you haven't done for a long time. A long, long time. It can include things you might normally do with others, but you could do it alone. Or you could do a version of it alone with a little creativity. And so on some of these things, like, there's been a lot of adventuring I've been doing alone. I have this kind of strange, kind of sweet spot in my life at the moment, where I don't have like a powerful singular relationship, and I don't do a lot of things on the weekends. More often I'll tend to do things during the week. Well, of course, a lot of people that I might normally do things with are commonly busy during the week. And so sometimes some people have remarked on social media, this weird thing is that like sometimes it's like I'm always doing these exciting things, I'm always on these great dates, but then I'm always like doing stuff by myself too, and like, what's going on? And like they might see me at any of the number of museums, or at the zoo, or at SeaWorld, or all these things by myself. And part of it is just because of the way I'm doing it. It's not really convenient for other people to come alongside. But then I also have tons of dates and a big social life, and been out with a dozen women already this year. 2.5 dozen last year, and that's just kind of how vibrant my social life is. And I do a lot of things alone. Well, I've had men in particular say, so like how do you do that? How do you like? Where do you find women? Like, do you have like a dating site that you go to? And, well, no, mostly I just build out my life, and I run into people as I build out my life. And because my life is already kind of wrapping around certain things, it's easy to make connections. So I, run into people at the museum. I ran into a couple of ladies at a jazz event that I went to. I ran into 3 ladies at the Japanese gardens that they were trying on kimonos and invited me to join them for dinner after we had this really pleasant interaction. Basically, it's the same thing that my mother does, except then it like takes the next step and the next step. It goes past just a conversation standing in line at Walmart, and it goes to, oh yeah, why don't we go grab a cup of coffee, or tea in my case, or why don't we grab some lunch? Why don't we grab a bite to eat? How about we'll have a seat and sit down and have appetizers, and we'll visit for a little while. And just how easy and seamless that is. And when you have a vibrant, rich, and joy-filled life, how that just connects to people and gives you a chance to just have this place where lives touch. And depending on how you interact when the lives touch is letting the love I have for me out to others, letting my own joy out to others, letting my own vibrant, vivid, fulfilled living out to others, then touches their lives. And then you spend time with them and you ask questions and you get to know people and you let them tell the stories that maybe they've told 1,000 times before and their friends are tired of hearing, but you're the new person, so they get permission to tell it again. And just be interested rather than trying and striving to be interesting. And take joy in their stories rather than always trying to be the joy bringer. You be a joy bringer. You be the love bringer. You bring the peace bringer. But you don't have to stand in that in order for it to mean something, that you're there to connect with them, to let them share, to let them be, to let them share their love and their joy and their peace. And to do all of these things, you're doing stuff not just that are ways you win with you, but ways you win with you that others can join. So I did some kind of interesting things just not too long ago. I had this party up in Hollywood. And I was invited to come up to the party, and I thought, as much as I would love to go up to this party, hopping in my car and driving depending on traffic, maybe 3 hours up to the party, and then 2.5 or 3 hours back from the party, to go be at a party for what might be 4 hours, going, well, I really don't want to spend 6 hours on the road for a 4-hour party. But it's been a while since I've joined this particular circle, and I thought, I really should, but it occurred to me, it's like, so long as I'm going that far north, I can take time off on Monday and Tuesday, because it happened to be a weekend that had a holiday on Monday, so I could go. And then Tuesday is my normal day off, so I can be gone on a Tuesday. I just have to be back on a Wednesday. And I said, so long as I'm going that far up, maybe I'd like to stay the night in Hollywood. Maybe stay a couple of nights in Hollywood. And I'll go to Universal Studios. Haven't been to the California Universal Studios for a while, though that would be fun. And then stay another night and then come back partway home and go to Knott's Berry Farm. And enjoy Knott's Berry Farm. And then come home after Knott's Berry Farm. I thought, that sounds like that could be fun. And previously, connected to a business thing, I'd been to Disneyland and I'd been to California Adventure. I did that one by myself too. And what some people had remarked is, how can you do this stuff by yourself? Don't you get lonely by yourself? Well, first off, I'll be about as by myself as I decide to be. And I decided, actually, I think I will do this one by myself. And I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to get to linger where I would linger just for me, instead of kind of creating the shared experience that me and another person will have together. I'm going to kind of create this thing that people know what I'm doing, and certainly because of how much stuff goes up on social media. And I post a lot more pictures and stuff up on social media than I might otherwise be inclined just for me, because I have family and friends that, if they've made it out to California ever, it's been like once in the last 10 years. And so for them, they love to share the adventures and say, oh, what does that look like? Oh, can you take another picture of the thing? And if you're going there, can you, I want to see pictures. Does it have this thing? Oh, it does. Can you take a picture and send it to them? And that's as close as they're going to get to it. So I end up taking a lot more pictures than I might normally. That's kind of become a fun habit for me now. And some people are looking at that and think, oh, that must be lonely, and others, but he seems to be having such a good time. And here's the big point. I'm having the kind of good time that's really easy for others to join in on. Because what if someone else says, oh, that looks like such a fun trip, and say, hey, would you like to come? There's room for people to come. I could have taken a date to the Hollywood party. I wasn't going, Well, some of the people I was going to meet, there are a couple of lady friends up there, but like, there's nothing romantic. We're just friends. So I could show up with a date, and we could have like a slightly bigger chit-chat conversation. I would love to have company for Universal Studios and all of the parks. When I went to Disney and California Adventure, in fact, originally that was crafted as a high point date for me and a good friend. We don't have a romance, but we recognize we're kind of coming into a place where things are shifting for us, and she's kind of moving into a different area of life, as am I. That, well, how about doing this peak experience while we're both still around and available? And that ended up not working out, but I thought, I really like the design of that date. And so there was this rooftop bar and restaurant that I went to that's right near the Disneyland area. There was this restaurant I wanted to dine in California Adventure. Had to go get my Mickey Mouse beignets at Cafe Orleans in Disneyland. And a bunch of the rides I wanted to go on. Some stuff I missed last time. And so I had a great time. And originally, even though it was designed for a two-person trip, I had a great time on this one-person trip. And being able to do that, the ways I win with me, but particularly the ways I win with me that others can join. Many things on the ways I win with me list might be totally private things. That's okay. For relationship purposes, consider what items on the list might have space to include others in some way. Some things like curling up on a porch swing on a rainy afternoon with a good book might be a private thing. And including someone else might just be that another reader could be curled up with you with a book of their own. And especially if the whole thing is about listening to the rain. Now, someone is content just to sit there lightly swinging on the porch swing, enjoying the sound of the rain, and you just being there reading your book. That could work out beautifully. If you like to read parts of your book out loud and enjoy someone enjoying it with you that way, that could totally work. Both of you reading books, that could work. If you don't mind the sound of other videos and such and whatnot playing, someone sitting around, kind of watching their own video while you read your book and they're watching something on some little screen, that could work. Or if that's too loud and they have their earbuds in and so they're listening to it quietly in their own ears while watching their screen, and you're just like nearby each other. And both of you enjoy that. That could work. So lots of creative ways to do it. Other things could be with or without company, like trips to museums or amusement parks or hikes or sightseeing. There's a lot of things I do by myself that could easily include company. And I just told you about the Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, California Adventure. Trips to SeaWorld, I've done some of them alone. I've done some of them with company. I've done some of them with company and her kids. The museums, I've done some of the museums alone, some of the museums with company and her kids, with my mom and my stepdad. And there's lots of opportunities of things that can easily include other people. So by doing many interesting things, you are likely to run into others doing similar things. Or make contact through the sharing of the things that you do. So me and one particular lady friend, she and I were martial arts colleagues. And that's kind of where the relationship was. I mean, there was enough of a spark or an energy between us that had we both been single and we kind of met each other someplace, well, that might be worth like going out for a lunch or something. But what we didn't know is we have some fandoms in common, and we have some play activities in common. And we didn't know this about each other. And, oh, wow, well, had we known that, we probably would have developed more of a friendship. And during our single years, we probably would have developed something, maybe a little more than a friendship, possibly. But we didn't know these things about each other. But how did we find out? Just by sharing the things that we like, and in this particular case in social media, because we don't live anywhere near each other, then we came across like, oh, we have this connection. We have this overlap. And then suddenly we start chatting about that stuff. And just for both of us, like, oh, wow, this is kind of fun. If we knew this about each other, and we certainly both agreed that would have been worth exploring. So just by sharing some of the interesting things. Now, make sure that you're not out there pretending to be something you're not, because if you end up connecting over something like that, you want it to be something that you are. And I've seen some people put on a show, and you don't want to be doing that. So it enriches you. You're looking for the stuff that enriches you, that brings you joy, that lets you live this deeper, richer, more fulfilling, vivid life. It enriches you, and it provides experiences. And those experiences can then enrich a relationship too. You can build experiences you can share. You build experiences even just that you can talk about. Things that where you've been there, done that. Whether you're going to do it again in the future or not. That if there's like some ambition to go see the world, whatever that means for you. You might be, hiking to Machu Picchu. It might be, being on a cruise ship, going around, the entire world, or in a Caribbean cruise, or on a European cruise. It might be going and spending a month in Paris, or a month in Italy, in Tuscany. So many options and things that might be inspiring and might stir you that you might not do again, but now you have this story. You have these things that you experience, things that you've seen with your own eyes. And having that kind of experience can enrich other relationships too, because it creates a broader experience of things that you like and things that you love and things that you can be passionate about, and good memories that can light you up, and places where you can connect with others and relate to others. And the broader and deeper and richer your life is, in and of itself, your life with you, your love with you, your forgiveness with you, a healthy self-relationship. And then all you have to do is just let this healthy self-relationship out, and you do the same thing with others that you do with yourself. That you learn to accept the love of others that matches the healthy self-love you have of yourself. Which, by the way, we kind of do anyway, healthy or unhealthy. So you want to make it healthy. And so have this healthy love that you accept from others that matches up and aligns with the healthy love you give yourself. Give healthy love to others that matches up, aligns with, and flows from this healthy love you have of yourself. Build a life of ways I win with me, and ways I win with me that others may join me in. And then it's not just about ways you can win with me, it's ways I win with me. And there might be a lot of overlap on that. I mean, say for instance, I could have a way you win with me is go with me to Disneyland. A way I win with me is I go to Disneyland by myself. And part of the stuff to look at is like the last time I was at Disneyland with another person, it was a very different trip than it was when I was by myself. You know why? Because I'm with another unique person. And it would be probably a little unusual for the trip of Scott, just taking Scott, of Scott going with anybody else. Because now what they want to do and what they want to experience and what they want to live and becomes part of the trip. A simpler thing is, going to Legoland with someone who'd never been. Just the subtle shifts of, not everything she wants to do. A couple of things she might be more interested in. Like one, like, what is that snack? I don't know. You want one? Let's go get one. And we got one, I mean, so this was kind of nice to have once. Probably not good enough to have again. But it was nice to be able to get it. And be able to do stuff like that. Just the tiny shifts or the big shifts that occur when you have other people with you. And it's ways I win with me, because I've been there several times by myself. I do it differently by myself because I focus on just the things that interest me. And then when I'm there with someone else, we're crafting this experience for both of us to share. And it starts with my relationship with me. I have a good relationship with me, and then I let my good relationship with me open up to other people. I have a good, healthy love for myself. I accept a good, healthy love from myself, so then I can offer a healthy love to others and accept a healthy love back from others. And this whole cool thing of ways I win with me. And of course, you can quantify the list, but since it's your list for you, you probably kind of intuitively have a feel when you look at your list, kind of where you are on there. But certainly, by all means, when you get to the ways I win with me that others may join, you can kind of quantify that list if you're kind of sharing with someone that, these are kind of the things I'm going to be doing. And hey, if there's anything in here you would just like to join me for, I make space for people to join me for. And if someone wants to join me for, then how can I retool it and enhance it and expand it to create a mutual experience that'll be really cool for all of us? however many all of us might be, just be two of us, all of us might be a whole family or a big group of friends, and be able to build and craft these experiences. So remember, ways I win with me: healthy self-love, healthy self-forgiveness, and that my self-relationship, Scott with Scott, my relationship with me, then just needs to be let go and open up and spill out into the lives of others, and so that other people can experience the same healthy love from me that I share with me. And I can accept the healthy love from others that others may want to give, that aligns with and I am in agreement with their love for me, because I have this healthy love for me. So this concludes our bonus set. Have a good relationship with yourself. There's this whole language of love, all of these tools. You love you with a healthy love. You forgive you with healthy forgiveness. You have a healthy relationship with you, and you live a deep, rich, powerful, loving, joy-filled life of bliss and peace that you can do completely on your own, or you can invite others into.